Kakalosh Boker Tov, we're continuing on Daf Nun Hamud Aleph. This is 55a1. So it says in the Gemara, we said, V'hainu de'amar avdim bar Chama bar Dosa. That's what he said, Ravdim bar Chama bar Dosa. He comes and he says the following. He says basically that, what does it mean in the Pasuk? If it wasn't a Shemayim, you do have to look for it. And if it was Mever Liyam, if it was across the river, right? So then you would have had to cross the river to go look for it. So therefore, that's what you would have had to do. So therefore, it's for sure that you have to make some type of tzionim, some type of signs or mnemonics in order to remember your learning. Rava says, Lo b'shamayim. What does that mean? Lo timatzeh b'mi shemagbiya dato aleh kashamayim. The Torah says is that, what does it mean that the Torah is not in the Shemayim? If you're going to find the person that he's very haughty, the Torah is not going to be with him. Why? Because the Torah has to be in somebody that he doesn't make himself like the Shemayim. Because it's lo b'shamayim, it's not up there, which means that a person has to have his nose down. That's where you're going to find the Torah. And you're not going to find it also in a person that he has his dato rechava, which means that once he comes and he listens to it once, he thinks that's it. No. He has to continue doing chazarot and chazarot. That's where you're going to find the Torah. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says another explanation. Lo b'shamayim lo timatzeh b'gasei haruach v'lo me'ver layami lo timatzeh lo b'sachranim v'lo b'tagarim. Says you're not going to find it by gasei haruach, which technically this was the same explanation that we said above. We just said it in different words. And here he's saying not in gasei haruach, people that are baalei gava, people that are very arrogant. Okay? So this is people, not in people that are arrogant. Veloti matzeh. So this is now the third explanation. So remember, yesterday we did the first explanation, which the first explanation was the first explanation is that if it would have been there, you would have actually had to get it, whether it was in the Shemayim or Mever Yam. Second explanation, which is Rava, that's what we're starting today. The second explanation of Rava was you're not going to find it in people which are like the Shemayim, right? Which means that they make themselves like the Shemayim. Which means a lot of the people that they make themselves like the Yam, that they're so, like they're so, how do you call it? That they're so broad that they learn it once and that's it. No, my heart is like the Yam, my heart is like the thing, don't worry about it. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, don't find it in gasei haruach. You shouldn't find it not in sachranim v'lo b'tagarim, not on people that are always doing business. Because then, if they're always doing business, how are they going to be learning Torah? They can't learn Torah. So therefore, obviously, you're not going to find the Torah in them.
Or they could have played the Torah.
It says traveling businessmen. I don't think it broadens to regular business.
100%. When you
traveling businessmen.
Fine, you're right. 100%. Right? No, the truth is, though, I apologize, Richard, you're incorrect. The first one is that. Sacharanim is traveling businessmen. Tagarim mochrim et schuratam bimkomam. They sell it in their own places.
Yeah, those are peddlers, people with the carts, peddlers.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're their own places. The first one were travelers.
Rick, you're wrong again.
It's okay. I'm always wrong, but it's okay. No, but did you see that or not, Richard? What's written there?
It says peddlers.
Peddlers is in your city. You're a peddler in the city you sell.
Yeah, peddler sells his wares locally, and the other one travels city to city.
So the first one was like what you said, traveling, and the second one is locally. Locally does not mean that you're traveling. You're in the same city. But still, if you're always doing this business and you're not paying attention, you have to have a business, Richard, like whether it was the Chavetz Chaim or all these people, that they would sit in a store whenever nobody was there, it's very quiet, they're learning the entire time. Or the Chavetz Chaim used to open up, I think, for 2 hours a day. Something like that. The rest of the day, he was always closed. So everyone knew, you want to go to buy it from him a store, right? That's what it was.
But it says that there's a story, I just want to say it, but there was two stores, one next to each other, and there was one that the person, that's a Masechet. It says that it used to be sitting all the time in the door of his store, and he was always learning. The other one was not a frum guy, was another Jew, but he was at the store where he was learning, it was always full. So he had to bring workers to take care, and he would continue to learn. And he said, what is the secret? He asked him, how come? We have two stores. I have merchandise that is cheaper than yours, and your store is always full. He said, the Yetzer Hara wants to be mevatel my limud, wants to be interfering with my learning. So I don't let it do. By you, they don't have to interfere in anything. So, basically, that's why the customer, the moment you start learning, you're going to see.
And the customers are going to start coming all the time. You heard, Richard? Yetzer Hara brings a lot of customers. Fine, let's go. Next, we learned in a Braita. Yeah, how are you me'aber et ha'ir? Me'aber et ha'ir means how are you going to come and you're going to measure out the city. But remember, here we're talking about with an ayin. Aruka, so we said it was going to be like aruka, is like a type of like a, how do you call them? Like a stone? I don't know.
Rectangular.
Yeah, rectangular, but it's a brick. A brick, that's what the word. Aruka kemot agula, but if it's going to be round, osin la zaviyot. So remember, you always take the corners. Yeah? Yeah, osin la zaviyot. You're allowed to make zaviyot, which are like corners. Okay? So it says meruba'at en osin la zaviyot. If it's already square, you don't put the corners. Yeah, if it was going to be very long on one side, but very narrow on the other side, so we look at it as if it's equal. Meaning that even though it's not, right, it's very, very narrow, but very long, we look at it as if it's equal. So always going to try to do a square. Okay? There was one house just coming out, or two houses coming out. We look that it's like a straight line. So we include the entire area, even though there's only one or two houses there, we're going to include the entire area. You
got pictures. You got pictures for all that.
Probably correct. Let me share the screen. Here's the picture. So if everyone could see here, this is that if the city was round, so we look at the city as if it's squared, if you see my cursor. And therefore, since we look at the city as if it's squared, we give the 2,000 amot from the square, right? Not from the round. So that's this picture. Next picture. Okay. The next picture is this one. It's rechava mitzad echad, uktsara mitzad acher. So basically what happens is that, no, you just have to take off the volume completely. On the top left. Yeah, that. There you go. So he says, right, this one, the next picture is basically that if you had on one side, it's very, very wide, and the other side narrow, right, whichever one you want to start with. Right, so therefore, what do we look? We look at it as if it's equal. So again, you see my cursor, we look at it as if it's equal, and then again, you have the 2,000 amot on the outside. Next picture, yeah, here's the house on the far left over here. It's coming out. You see, all the other houses, they're all in order. One house is coming out over here. It's pagum. Or if it's going to be two houses, it's over here. Two houses, one and one. So these two houses are going to be pagum with pigum, which is basically it's coming out, right? So therefore, what happens is, again, I start taking the line from here. I don't take the line from here. All the other sides, I take the line from here. On this side, I take it from here, from the outside, and I start my 2,000 amot. Okay, this is the next one in the Gemara, which is like a keshet, which is like a rainbow. Okay, this is this one right here. If it's like a keshet, if it's like a rainbow. Okay, so says the Gemara. Okay, so I measure it from where that line is from those two houses come out. And then I'm going to measure the 2,000 amot outside. If it's going to be made like a rainbow, okay, and therefore basically, right, you only have it like a rainbow, okay, or kimina gam. This is this picture. This is the rainbow one. Or kimina and agam. And agam is this way. This is the agam. How do you, I don't know, it's like a resh. You see the resh is like a resh in Hebrew, right? Or an L, right? Or but it's not really it's an upside down L over here.
Yeah.
Okay? So if they made it like an agam, so we fill it up as if the entire thing is full of batim. Meaning I'm not going to count the 2,000 amot on this side. You see over here, I'm not going to count the 2,000 amot from this side from here. I'm going to count the 2,000 amot from over here. Sorry, from here, not from here. Meaning I look at it, I make an imaginary line as if the entire city is full. Was a full city. Okay? Next. Then I'm going to go 2,000 amot. Amar Mormor says, Aruka kemot shehi, right? Aruka kemot shehi, right? We said that it's going to be, if it's long, so then like a malben, like a, how do you call a malben? Like a brick. So kemot shehi, exactly like the way that it is. So it says the Gemara Pshit, obviously. So it says the Gemara, lo tzicha, what are we talking about? Daricha uktina. Daricha uktina, which means it's coming to teach you that it's very long, but it's very, very narrow. Maudotem, I would have thought to say, liten la putya uruka, which means I'm going to give the rochav to the orech. So look here. This is the maudotema. I would have thought to say that I'm going to give here that means this is the length, this is the width. It's very, very long, but it's much narrower. So I would have thought that you would give the same size here this way, which means that just like from here to here, measured whatever it is, so to here, it's not only here to here. I'm going to include this part. So I make like a huge square. Kamashmanan comes teach you that we don't do that. That means we're not going to, in this scenario, we do not add in this case. This is the Maudotem. I would have thought to say that you say this. We don't say this. Okay, so we don't give you the 2,000 amot from here, but rather from the inside.
Because those corners are well formed.
Exactly, everything's well formed. Okay, fine. Next, 2 dots. So the 2 dots said, if it's already squared, we don't give it the zavio, we don't give it the corners. So it says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. So it says the Gemara, no, lo tzricha, what are we dealing with? Right? What does that mean? It is merubah. It's squared. It's this picture. Everyone's looking at the picture. Again, you have the picture here. It is merubah. It is squared. But it's not squared like a normal square. Look at the normal square here. That's the outline. The outline is a normal square. So I would have thought to say, I would have thought to say, you would make it like a normal square, which would give me all this. Kamashmalan, that the fact that it is square here this way, even though it's not like in a regular direction, it's like in the, it's in like the, like the northeast or like all this thing, you would leave it that way. Okay? Next, right? So it says, if you already told me one house that comes out, 2 houses is a question. You already told me even if one house is coming out, this is one house. The picture before showed another house over here. So if you already told me one house coming out, I make an imaginary line, and then I start my 2,000 amot from this imaginary line. So if I do it in one house, if I have 2 houses, so it says, what are we dealing with? We're talking about two different directions. One direction over here, and one direction on the opposite side. So Maudotem, I would have thought to say, Meruach Achat, only on one side do you say it, but from 2 sides you don't say it. Kamashmalan, that you do say it even from both sides. So one more time, if it was one house here and one house here, obviously you would say it. Here, the chidush of the Gemara is that even though you have one side on this side and one house on the other side, I extended the city, and that's why I have the imaginary lines. I extended the entire city on both sides. So the Havamina would have been that I could only say it on one side. Kamashmalan, that I say it on both sides. Okay, says the Gemara, if it was going to be made like a rainbow, or like the resh shape, or the resh shape, or like an L. Amar Ravuna says, a city which is made out like a rainbow, if there's less than 4,000 amot from the 2 heads, so from here to here there's less than 4,000 amot, so then you go from here. This is called the yeter, the additional part. So you do it from here, the 2,000 amot. Okay,
where are you? Oh.
Meaning if from here to here there's less than 4,000 amot, so this is called the yeter. So I do the 2,000 amot from here, from this area. Okay. However, though, vimlav, if I've got more, so for example, here, look, the next picture, yeah, I've got 4,000 amot from the one head to another head. I have 4,000 amot. So then I do not start 2,000 amot from here. I start 2,000 amot from here, and then I get to here.
Wow.
It's a big chumrah. So you have to make sure that that the city does not have 4,000 amot.
No,
See,
you got to make sure that the city is not semicircular.
No, you could have semicircular, but you just can't have 4,000 amot from this house to this house. Meaning this house to this house has to have less than 2,000 amot. Less than 4,000. If it has more than 4,000 amot, I lose that entire middle area. Okay? So says the Gemara, Umi amar Ravuna hachi. Does Ravuna actually say that? Amar Ravuna says, Chomat ha'ir shenifretza. when I have chomat ha'ir, which was broken, which means that I broke the city walls, ב-141 ושליש. So it says a shiur of 141 and a third. That means as long as the pirzah, as long as the breach is not bigger than 141 amot and a third, so then it's still going to be okay. I'm not understanding what's the difference. 1 second. If it's going to be more than that, it's considered like two different cities. And therefore, if it doesn't have only 2,000 amot, so then it's going to be okay. So therefore, it's coming and it's telling you, even though it's going to be more, so not like what you just said that it had to have 4,000 amot. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabba Barula Lakashi Asan a question. Kan beruach achat, kan mishte ruchot. It all depends if it's going to be in one direction or two different directions. Oh, this is Tosfot.
Yeah.
Here it is. Chomat ha'ir shenifritza. Look, you have the wall of the city. Yeah, you're with me, Richard? Yeah, you have the wall of the city that's breached 140, what does it say here? 141 and a third. So that's this, 141 and a third. Okay, so if it's going to be reached 141 and a third, we said chomat ha'ir shenifritza, right? We said this is two directions. If it's going to be in two directions, it's not going to be good. But if it's only going to be in one direction, it's going to be okay. Okay? What is it coming to teach us? Says the
Good and okay for what, Rabbi? Rabbi, for what is it good or okay?
One more time. We just said, right,
If it's breached in one direction.
No, we just said over here, if you have 4,000 amot from one house, one city, one house on one direction of the city to another house, if you have more than 4,000 amot, you start the 2,000 amot from back here. If you have less than 4,000 amot, you start the 2,000 amot from here, from this line.
Right. This I know.
Yeah, okay, very good. So now the Gemara is going to ask, does Rav Huna actually say that? He says, how could it be? He says, what's happening is, right, he comes and he says like this, he says, does Rav Huna actually say this? He says, when you have the chomat ha'ir, which was broken, right, which is again, if it's broken 141 and a third, right, this is the answer of the Gemara, that it's broken on two sides. But for now, we only know that it's broken on one side. So it says, if it's already broken on one side, okay, so he says, if it's going to be less than this amount, so then it's going to be okay. Okay, but if it's going to be more than this amount, right, so then what happens is it's considered like it's two different parts of a city. And therefore, right, you only have 2,000 amot from the place where you were at the beginning of the Shabbat. So you see from here that only 143 amot is already enough to consider that it broke. And then wherever I am, I count the 2,000 amot from there, not from the walls of the city. So the Gemara answers, it's not a stira. Here we're talking about where it was only in one angle. So since it's one angle, right? So therefore, Rav Huna comes and he says that the entire city is considered one city, right? And therefore, it's going to be okay. And the second one is if it's broken into two. If it's broken on two sides, 141 and a third, then it's considered a breach and it's not going to be okay. Capish? You're with me, Richard, or not? Yeah? Okay. So it says the Gemara, what is it coming to teach us? He says, Denotnin karpaf lezo v'karpaf lezu. Are you going to tell me that you're going to give me 70 and 2/3 amot for each one? Look, here you have two different cities. Okay, two different cities. This is 70, right, and 2/3 of amah, and 70 and 2/3 of amah. Remember that usually we always give you what's called a kapaf, which means when you finish the city, you don't count 2,000 amot from the end of the city. You give yourself 70 amot and 2/3, and then you continue, right? You start the 2,000 amot. So therefore, he's saying is that we already said that. It's not. We learned in the Mishnah. Now we turn the page to 55b. Okay, we said notrin karpaf leir divrei Rabbi Meir. Says Rabbi Meir, we always give up karpaf to the city. So from the outskirts of this city, we give 70 and 2/3 of amah. The outskirts of this city, we give 70 2/3 of amah. and now we count the 2,000 amot from each one, which means we just connected these two cities. So now it became one big, huge city. Chachamim say, Lo amru karpaf ela ben shtei hayadot. You only say karpaf between two different cities to connect them. Mihitmar, it was stated, Rav Huna says, karpaf u'du karpaf zu, yechia bar Rav Amar, en oti karpaf echad l'shtem. So according to Rav Huna, you give a karpaf to each one. You give 72 thirds amot to each one. According to Rechia bar Rav, he says, no, you only give one of them. So says the Gemara, tzricha, you need both cases. Why? Diashvin and Hacha, if it would have only told me the case of 141 and a third, that's how you have, by the way, the 141 and a third, because you're giving 70 and 2/3. 70 and 2/3 times 2, yeah, is 141 and a third, because 70 is 140, right? 2/3 and 2/3, right, is going to be 4/3. 4/3 is 71 and 1/3. So it's 141 and 1/3. Kapish? Yeah? So it says, Tzricha, you need it. You had a heter from the beginning. Aval hatam, but over there, I would say, no, if you're going to teach me the other way around, because it's very dachuk, it's tashmish. Aval hacha, but over here, that it's not dachuk, it's tashmish. I would say, no, tzricha, that's why you need it. Okay? So says the Gemara, how much do you need between the yeter and the keshet? Which means, this is Benihir, this is Chachamim. This is Chachamim for one of them. Here it is. V'kama yu ben yeter lekeshet. How much do you need between the yeter and the keshet? Look, this is the yeter. Remember, this is called the yeter, the additional part. This is the keshet. This is the rainbow. The rainbow is the keshet. So how much do you have? Rabba bar Huna says 2,000 amot. Rabba bar Huna says even more than 2,000 amot. Amra Abaye says it's more that even if you've got more than 2,000 amot, because if you want, you could always go derech rabim, which means, right, that you could always go, if you get even more than 2,000 amot, it's going to be okay. Why? Because you could always go derech rabim. Let me see if it has a picture here. No, there's no picture. Right, because if you always wanted, you could always go here on the inside. And the fact that you could go on the inside, so therefore so it's always going to be okay. Okay?
Derech Harabim
Yeah.
is in the inside.
Is I think it's on the outside or the inside, but basically what's happening is that you're not going in this direction, in the yeter direction. You could always go like Derech Harabim over here. So the fact that you could go Derech Harabim over here, that's already enough. Oops. Fine, next. This is the next picture. Hayusham gediduyot givot asrat fachim. If you had geduduyot, which are basically the chomot shel batim charevim, which are basically, you've got like the houses which are destroyed, right, which are 10 tfachim tall. So says the Gemara, so then you go out towards them. So that's what it says here, look. These houses which are destroyed are within 70 amot and 2/3. Remember, 70 and 2/3 from the city. So you start the 2,000 amot from here. You don't start it from the wall of the city. You start the 2,000 amot from here. So says the Gemara, my gedudiyot, what are gedudiyot? We're talking about mechitzot that do not have a roof. Okay? So says the Gemara, we ask, what about 2 mechitzot and a roof? Right? What's halacha? So Tashma, we're going to try to bring a proof. This is talking about that you're going to make an ibur with it. Nefesh yesh ba 4 amot al 4 amot. If it's got a binyan that you built that has 4 amot squared, a gesher or a bridge, a kevin and a bet kvarot, that does have like a house there. Many bet knesiot, even in Gibraltar, they still had one until today. They had a house for the chazan, which means the chazan actually lived in the bet knesset. Right? It was like a separate house, obviously, but it was on top or right beside, but it was basically a house in the bet knesset. Okay? ובית עבודת כוכבים שיש בה דירה לקומנים והעוברות והאוצרות שבשדות, יש בהם בדירה, they have a בדירה, והבורגנין שבתוכן, הבורגנין inside of it, והבית שבים, and the house in the sea, הרי אלו מתעברים עמה, so they can actually be counted. Okay, let me see if there's any other pictures. No, this is the case. 2 mechitzot and a tikra. And this is the case of the burgening which is inside of it. This is the case of No, this is lashlim. Okay. So it says the Gemara, Ve'elu she'en mitabrinima. These are things which you cannot count it, right, with it. Let me just put this on this side so you see it. Okay? So it says over here like this. It says, Ve'elu she'en mitabrinima, nefesh shenifretza shte ruchotea elach ve'elach. Right? If it's basically a binyana that's on top of a tombstone, which is on a kever, which was broken on the sides, or a geshev kever she'en betira, or right, a bridge, or a bet HaKvarot that does not have a house there, or bet HaKnesset that does not have a house, bet HaKnesset that does not have a house for the priests, or you've got like a pit, or different, excavations, or a me'ara, or a cave, or right, a chicken coop, or a house on top of a boat, they don't consider with it. So we did learn with it. If it was broken on two sides, what does that mean? My love, what does it mean that it still has a tikra? So it still has a roof, but it's open on both sides. And still, what do we say? That it's not it's not good. So it says, no, the leka tikra does not have a roof. So since it doesn't have a roof, you can't use it. Bayit shebayam. Maihi. What does it mean, the bayit shebayam? Just check if this is. No. Okay. Bayit shebayam l'may chazi. What can you do with a house in the sea? No, it's like a place where they put all the things that they have on the boats. They have them in there. It's like a storage place. The me'ara, no, a cave not. He says, well, I thought the cave does. So why isn't it like a building? When we're talking about lashlim, this is the picture lashlim. Look, here you have less than 70 amot. Okay, but this is less than 70 amot. This is less than 4 amot. Okay, and then it says over here 4 amot. Okay, 2,000 amot. Okay, fine, very good. Next, Amar Ravuna says, Yoshvet Tzrifin. We're talking about houses which are like of the huts. That's this picture. If you see the picture, Yoshvet Tzrifin. So it says, they only get from the entrance of their houses. Okay, why? Because they're not connected. That means they're just like, random houses, so they're not connected. Okay? So now it says, Amar Ravuna says, Yoshvet Tzrifin, asks, it has 3 by 3 parsaot. Tanya, we learned in a Braita, they only go to the back of them. So answers the Gemara, Rava says, Digle Midbar Kamad, you talk about Digle Midbar. Kevin Dichtibu, since it's written on Piashem Yachron Piashem Isau, Kevin Nikwel, it's like they're kavui. Since they're kavua, that's why it's going to be okay. Amar Rav Chinan bar Rav Kahana bar Ravashi. Says Rav Chinan bar Kahana name Ravashi. Im yeshav shalosh mechitzot sheshne batim. If they have 3 mechitzot of 2 houses, that's over here. Shalosh chatzerot of 2 houses. Look, 1 chatzer, another chatzer, 2 houses in each one. So they have 3 chatzerot of 2 houses. Yeah. It says what happens. Hukbeu. So then it's a fixed city, and then you count 2,000 amot from the outside of those cities. Okay. Amar Ravuna, Rav Yudah Rav says Yudah Rav. These people that they live like this, or they live in the desert, their lives are not lives. And their wives and everything, right? They're not theirs. Why? Because they have moral relations, and therefore their children are all mamzerim. Okay? Tanya Miach, we also learned in a Braita, Eliezer, right? Ish Bidya, Omer Eliezer Ish Bidya says, Yoshvet Tzrufim ki Yoshvet Kvarim. Yoshvet Tzrufim are like Yoshvet Kvarim. Ve'abenotemu Omer Arush Shochevim Kol Be'emah. So the ones that they live in these Tzrufim, they're like the ones that they're dead. And therefore their daughters, it's written that somebody that lives with, they're all mamzerim. My time, what's the reasoning? Ula says, they don't have bathhouses. So therefore they have to go far away to a bathhouse. And then what happens is that if not, that they have to give in to the people that they're going to, either they're going to seduce them or to rape them, right, to violate them, or if not, they just kill them. So because of that, they just have relations with them because they don't have bathhouses beside their cities. Rabbi Yochanan says, because they know when they go to the Tvilah. And therefore, again, because of that, it's considered that they have immorality, right? And therefore, basically what happens is that they're going to go have relations with them. Maybe now, what's the difference between them? If they have a river right beside their houses. So basically, because of this, it's not good to live in these type of places, okay? So don't get any ideas, anybody. Amar Ravuna says, any city that does not have any types of vegetables, En Tamil Chacham Rashay Ledurba. Tamil Chacham cannot live there because there's no vegetables. The Meimra, the Yerek Me'alia says the Gemara what? That means the Yerek, the vegetables are going to be good? Yeah? So he says, what does it mean? It's only going to be good vegetables? There are three things which make that there's a lot of like fertilizer in the human being, right? Or they make a person that he starts bending down. And it takes away 1/500th of his eyesight. And these are the things, right? 56A1. Pat kibar v'shechar chadash v'yerek. We're talking about a bread which is made out of kemach, flour which is not minupeh, it's not sieved, right? They didn't sift it. V'shechar chadash, new beer, or yerek, vegetables. So answers the Gemara like I said a question. One of them we're talking about shumim and krishin. So we're talking about garlic and krishin is like leeks. Veha b'shar yarek. We're talking about other vegetables. Ketani we learned in Braita. Shum yerek krishin chutzi yerek. It says shum yerek, right? Shum, which is a yerek, is very. That means garlic is very healthy. Krishin is chetzi yerek. Niret snon, niret sam chayim. If a person sees snon, snon is very radishes. Is very good for a person. So I asked the Gemara, I thought it was poison. It's like death. It's like a death poison. So he says that the shorashim of the tznon are good. The roots of the tznon are good. Okay? But not the actual leaves, only the roots. Another answer, during the summertime, it's good to eat it. During the winter time, it's bad to eat it. Okay, because it makes a person cold, and it's already cold. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, says Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Kol ir sheyesh ba ma'alot mordot, Adam u'ma sheba metim chatzi mehem. Any city that has ma'alot mordot, right, ups and downs. I don't know what that means here.
Like San Francisco.
Yeah, ups and downs, so the people die in half their lifetimes. Metim says, you really think they die? Ela'im abaradu maskinim b'chatzi. It doesn't mean they die. It means that they become older in half their lifetimes. Amar Rav Yeshua, ani mulyata dveberi, udve narash. It says over here, this malyata, right, it says over here, the shvilim, right, which are in these places, as kunim, they cause them to become older, ahead of time. When you want to come and you want to make it mirubat, a square, you make it a square like everything else. The north to the north, the south to the south, the simanech, egla batzafon, mazal shor is in the north, ve'akrav, and the mazal akrav is going to be in the south. This is astronomical things, astronomy. Okay, so in the astronomy, that's what it means. Rabbi Yosef says, if you don't know how to make it to Mrubat, so you make it like the Tkuva. How is that? The Chama, the sun goes out on a long day, and it goes down on the long day. Zeu Penetzafon, that's the north. Chama, Yotza b'yom katzar, Shuka b'yom katzar, that's Pene Darom. So basically, okay, I'm sure you have pictures there, right, in the art scroll. Basically, what happens is that when it comes out in the long day and in the short day. Everyone sees it? Okay? Okay. So basically, what happens is that when the sun comes out, obviously, when it's a very, very long day, the sun has to make a much longer path. So it comes out much more to the north, all the way over until the other side, right? And obviously in a shorter day, it's a shorter day. So accordingly, right, that's how it's coming out. On the shorter day, it's going to be in the Darom. The longer day, it's going to be in the north. Okay? Obviously, that's the equinox, which means it's half day, half night. So if it comes out in the middle. It goes in the nighttime. This is the north, the east, and the west. Sometimes it travels through it, and sometimes it just goes around it. Amar Rav Meshashia says, we don't have these general rules. The Tana, as we learned in a Braita, it never goes out from the the northeastern side. It always goes in the northwest. And it doesn't go out, which means that even in Tkuvat Tammuz, it will always go in the south, or the right, and that's what he's saying over here. It's always in the north, in the
south.
in the south west
So
or the
it's
north.
opposite of what we said before.
Yes, exactly. That's what we're saying. That's what he's saying. We don't have this general rule. We have to get rid of this. Okay? Next. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, En tkufat Nisan nofelet el barba rivei hayom. The tkufah of Nisan, which is the spring, will always fall on the 4 times of the day, 4 quarters of the day, or the beginning of the day, or the beginning of the night, or the chatzia of the day, or the chatzia laila. Not at any other time. So it's either going to be the beginning or end of the day, or middle of the day or middle of the night. Now the Tkuvat Tammuz will always come out, whether it's going to be 1.5, right, in 1.5 hours after the beginning of the day, or 1.5 hours after the beginning of the night, or 7.5 in the beginning of the day, or 7.5 in the night. That's why it's always like you're adding 1.5, whether it's to the chatzot, or 1.5 to the beginning, or the end, basically, right, the night. So it means, or it's going to be 3 hours from the beginning of the day, 3 hours at the beginning of the night, or 9 hours from the beginning of the day, or 9 hours at the beginning of the night. Or 4.5, or 10.5. And there's always going to be 91 days and 7.5 hours. It doesn't go from one to another. It's only going to go half an hour. Shmuel says, there's never going to be a Tkufat Nisan that falls on Tzedek. That's the Kochav Tzedek, Saturn. That's not going to break the trees. It's going to make everything dry. That's what it's going to be. It's going to start with the moon of that month, of Nisan or Tevet, or of Tzedek, for the month, or the right? Right? This is 56b. We learned in a Braita. If you're going to make the city, how do you call it? Mirabea. You're going to square it off. So you're going to make it like a tavlam rubat, right? Like a square. Then you come and you make all the tchumin also the same. So you make it like a tavlam rubat. Now, when you're going to start measuring it, you're not going to do it from the middle, 2,000 amot. Because you're always going to lose the zaviot. Let me just check if I have a picture quickly.
We have it in the Gemara here.
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. This is the one. You make it like a tavla. So you make it here. You see, this is the circle. First, you make it like a square, and then you come and you give the 2,000 amot to each direction. Capish? And then you make it like a big, huge square. Okay? Fine. So now it says the Gemara, but then you lose the zaviyot, which means here, if you would start from here to here, there's 2,800 amot. So the way that you just did it this way, that you just made it like a big tavla, you gained over here on the corners 2,800 amot. Right? That's again, you're gaining the corners. Okay? Next. Ela mevi tavlam rubat she 2,000 amal uminicha b'keren la'lachson, and you put it on the keren on the lachson, on the corners. Is what you just did here. Instead, you mistakeret 400 lekan ו400 lekan. You gain 400 in each direction. That's over here. You see over here, you gain 400. Everyone could see my cursor. Here you gain 400. This is 400 amot, and this is 400 amot on each corner of the city. You gain 400. Which one? No, 800 amot is this. You gained 800. But here in the corners of the city, you gain 400 already. This is 400 amot. You see 400 amot. Right here, you gain 400 amot. Okay? So then the tchum is going to gain 800 amot for each direction. That's here. 800, but it's 2,800. 2,800, 2,800, 2,800. Okay? So you gain 1,200 in total. Because you gain 800 here and 400 here, so it's 1,200 in total. Capiche? 800 and 400, 1,200. Okay? Next, Amar Abaye says, we find the memata dehavia 3,000 3,000. So it comes out that if it's going to be 2,000 amot, circled, then you're going to gain the 400 amot, and then all the different things. Next, Tanya we learned in the Braita. Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Yosef says, Rabbi Eliezer, Tchum Arei Levim 2,000 amat, Tzemehen 1,000 amat migrash. Comes out that the Tchum of the Levim were 2,000 amot. But you have to take out 1,000 amat, which is a migrash, which is basically they don't plant anything there. In some migrash, the rest they could use for fields and vineyards. And how do we know this? Amar Rava says, Amakar says, this is Area Leveim. Look, here you have the Migrash, which is empty space, right? 1,000 amah. And then you have the 2,000 amot from the city. So this is a city of the Leviim. You have 2,000 amot from here to here, but 1,000 amot has to be empty field. You cannot do anything with it. And here you could do sadot ukramim. Here you could do fields and vineyards on the green one. On the yellow one, it's migrash, has to be empty. Okay? Migrash ravia, so it comes out that migrash is a quarter. So it says ravia, palgavi, it's half. Why is it a quarter? It's half. If here you have 2,000 amot and 1,000 amot is migrash, so it's half, it's not a quarter. So it says the Gemara, Rava says, Bara Adam Meshochas, but he explained it to me. You could find the Mata Davia Trealfe if the city is 2,000 amot squared. That's this one. 2,000 amot squared. Look, 2,000 by 2,000. Areal Vim. So now what happens? The Mata Davia Trealfe, Tchum Kamavi, how much is the Tchum Shitsar? So it's going to be 16. Look, here's 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 13, 14, 15, 16. These are the corners. Okay, so what's happening?
4 times 4.
Yeah, it's 4 times 4. So he says what happens? So therefore, Tchum Kamavi, how much is the Tchum? Shitsar, there's 16. That means there's 16 blocks here. Okay, you saw the 16 blocks?
Cannot come on.
Kranot Kamavi, and how many blocks are there? 16. Okay, dal temanya tetchumin. Take out 8 from 16. The arba'a de kranot in the 4 corners. How much is there? Treisar. So you've got 12. 12 ribim of 1,000 amah on 1,000 amah. So that's why it's going to be a fourth. They did math, but it's something incredible. So again, one more time, we're sharing the screen. So one more time, the Gemara makes the calculation, and the Gemara says like this: we had 1,000 amot on the inside, 1,000 amot migrash. The next 1,000 amot was on the outside. This next 1,000 amot here, which is on the outside,
you can do whatever,
right? You can do whatever you want. Sadot ukramim. The inside is the migrash, right, which is the non-plantable area, right? This is again the Area Levim, 2,000 by 2,000. Now, however, though we said this dark pinkish corners, not corners. This is the tchum. This is the tchum. This is the tchum. This is the tchum. These are the corners. 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, this is the corners because you have 2,800 amot on these corners. What did we just say? We just said, and Richard said correctly, that if you're going to take in every single corner, there's only one out of the 4 which are migrash. So here you have 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4, 1 out of 4, 1 out of 4. So it comes out 4 out of 12. So the Gemara is saying that's a quarter. So ask Richard, it's a third, it's not a fourth. Answers the Gemara, yeah, but you're going to also add in the ribuim of the city itself, which is 2,000 amot by 2,000 amot, and then you're going to add it. Where is that? It doesn't show it. You're actually adding in the 2,000 amot of the city itself here, these 4. Since you have these 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, now I'm adding it to the calculation. So now what happens is it comes out that this one is only going to be 1/4, because now it comes out that I just added another 4. So it's now out of 16. So now 4 out of 16 is how much, Richard?
A quarter.
A quarter. Chazak u'baruch. So now the Gemara asks, Akati tiltavi. Says still, the migrash is still going to be a third. Why? Because he says the tchum of the city is 36. And the migrash is going to be, right, 12. Which means here it's coming out that it's going to be 36, correct? How many boxes do you have here? Here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 36. 6.
Says 32. Says 32.
It's 36, 6 by 6.
It's 6 by 6, Richard. It's 36.
Art Scroll says these 12 million square amos are more than a third of the 32 million square alma total. Art Scroll says it.
That's what the article says.
I mean, I'm confused. This is going to take more than one day to do, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, but listen, I'm going to tell you what I'm reading in my art school. My art school here says that the shetach of the migrash is still a third. Why? The entire thing here, it makes sense what I'm saying. So just pay attention. Yeah, Richard? Right? This time maybe you could go with me or go with the Hebrew art school. But listen, here you have 6 by 6, correct? 6 by 6 is 36. I divided every single one of these boxes. So I have 6 by 6. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 by 6 is 36, correct? How much is a migrash? 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 by 4,
Yeah.
right? So therefore, it's going to be
16. No.
no. I'm sorry, it's not 4 by 4. Okay, now I understand probably what the English art school was doing. I'm going to explain it to you this way. Here, it's not 16 because this is not migrash. So if it wasn't 1, 2, 3, 4 by 4, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's 12. It's 12 by 36 in total. So again, it's going to be a third. You understood or not? So it says the Gemara, we're almost finished. We've got 2 more lines. Misabra biribua kamar. Says the Gemara, we're talking about a squared. We're talking about a circle, which is this one. We're talking about a circle. Okay, the Eiruvin was a circle. Okay, kama merubah. How much is a merubah? How much is a square more than a circle? Ravia, a quarter. That Ravia mina, you're going to take away a quarter. Pashtu tisha, you're only going to have 9 rebuim. The tisha mitzatim rebuim. And then it's going to be 9 out of 36. So here, right? I'm going to do it very quickly, and then afterwards I can continue. I'm just going to try to finish it, and then afterwards I can explain better. So basically, what's happening here is that we're talking about a city, which is going to be Dahavia alpha be alpha, which is basically going to be 1,000 amma by 1,000 amma. Okay? The 1,000 amma over here. Okay, so how much is it? Temanya. It's going to be 8. How many corners do you have? Sheets are 16. You have 4, 8, 12, 4, 8, 12, 16. Okay? And that's what it's going to be. Then you're going to take away the 4, and we continue. What I'm going to try to do